Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. In this video, I'm doing a series called Who Wore It Better? And I've done two videos so far. I did the number 45 and the number 4, and I'm working my way down to the number 1. And I've had some friendly comments about doing this. I like the idea. I think it's fun. It gives me some content, but it gives me some content that I can also learn some things. And I thought to myself that I wasn't doing it justice. There's a lot of channels on here that have a couple people or a panel of people doing their videos, and I thought this particular form could use another person. So I looked at my friends on YouTube, and I got a couple friends that are already doing a 2-man thing here and a 2-man thing there, and I'm in a 2-man thing called Showcase Showdown with Baseball Collector, and I really like that. But I thought I would enhance this by bringing on somebody, but I had to be careful because, one, I didn't want to bring in anybody prettier than me, and then I struggled. I didn't want to really bring somebody in smarter than me, and I just wanted to.
Hey,
there he is. There he is. So I have a sidekick on this for a while. We're going to see how it goes, and I'd like you guys to keep your comments up. But I brought in one of the guy that he probably edits videos and that kind of stuff, and he won't tell you this out loud. Well, maybe he will, but he's also given me a tutorial on how to use StreamYard, and so this is kind of our little payback and our little deal that we have going on, and I think it's going to be really fun. So, John, why don't you
Chris,
tell us your expertise on this
about bringing on somebody as smart as you after experiencing trying to work with you on StreamYard. That's it felt like working with a boomer here, even though you're not quite old enough to be one. So. I must say, while your first two videos were very good, I do have some corrections that have to be made. It's vital, that the people get real good information and not the garbage you gave them. So
well, let's hear what you have to say on that, because I believe the first person I chose was Bob Gibson. And the second person I chose was Hank Aaron. So let's hear what you have to say. Why don't you like Bob Gibson or Hank Aaron so much? Huh? What did they do to you?
In case I don't like them. And let's start with number 45, which it was clearly a 2-man race. It was Bob Gibson or Pedro Martinez. Both of them great all-time pitchers for sure. But, splitting the hairs, you really got to look at how they performed versus what the average pitcher could do of their era. And on that basis, Gibson pitched during a strong pitching era. There was actually a very good article that I found looking into the subject on a blog online, where they analyzed the best pitching seasons of all time, and they did it based on a criteria of looking at what was the average pitcher of each of those years. And so with that criteria, Bob Gibson's 1968 season did not even make that top 10. And Pedro Martinez had not one, but 2 seasons in that very top 10, joining Greg Maddux and Lefty Grove as the only guys with 2 seasons in the top 10 of all time. And just based on that level of dominance versus his peers, I gotta give the edge to a guy I hated actually at the time, but now recognize his greatness. And that's Mr. Pedro Martinez here, represented in his 1999 Skybox EX Century card. So this was the choice for number 45. It was close, but sorry, you got it wrong, Chris. So
Well, I tell you, the people that are watching this might disagree with you. Probably not. They probably do. And so Pedro Martinez was great, but I can tell you, let me tell you a couple things before you move on to 44.
Okay.
Bob Gibson didn't give a rat's ass about breaking down and looking at statistics and that kind of stuff. He just got you up there. Whatever the rules were, he played by it. The mound was a little bit higher. He played by it. And what I would love to see you do now is us go back to 1965 or 67, and you get on a microphone at a stage and tell Bob Gibson why he's not in the top 10 of the pitchers, and then grab your scrawny ass, get a bat, and go up to bat against him. You'd be on the ground faster, I don't know, faster than Don Zimmer was when he charged the mound against Pedro Martinez. But
I'd be on my back against a instructional league pitcher, let alone a major league professional. So,
no, I tell you what, Pedro Martinez, and again, if he's on your team, you loved him, and if you had to play against him, you didn't like him because he had both of them had a big an arrogance. Both of them had this aura about them, and when things were tense, I don't think you'd want to stand in the box against any of the two. But I'll let you take Pedro Martinez, and I'll take Bob Gibson, and we'll go around. We'll just go around asking everybody. I tell you what, that'd be a good comment down below here on this particular video. That why John's stepping on my toes with the pick at number 45. Tell us what you think down below. So now switch over to 44 if you would, and tell me how bad I messed up on that one.
Well, I mean, it's clearly Hank Aaron is easily the choice. And then, there's no argument there. It's not even close. So my only complaint with your number 44 show was the fact that you showed a guy who didn't wear 44 his entire career, and the only cards you showed of him were when he wore number 9. So let's correct the record here and get Reggie Jackson actually on a card when he wore number 44 here, which he started wearing in 77 for the Yankees. He was number 9 through his Oakland A's years, stayed 44 with the Angels, and then his final season, a return tour through Oakland in 87, he wore number 44. So
now see, right there is the reason that I asked you to come on here, because with that fake degree that you have that probably isn't worth near as much as my philosophy kind of degree, you're going to be able to correct me and on some of these minor mistakes that I may make, and maybe even some of my vocabulary you might be able to correct at times. So no, I stand corrected. 44. I thought you were going to get on here and tell me how McCovey should have been lower. Eric Davis didn't belong on the screen, that kind of stuff. But no, Eric
Davis was on a trajectory and he just got derailed. So, I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you finished putting down your co-host now? Are you finished? Are you finished critiquing the very show that you are now going to be part of for a little bit? And are you thick-skinned enough to take a beating week in and week out for the next 43 weeks on this? Or, well, you know what? We'll probably agree on quite a bit of stuff, I would imagine.
There's a lot that we're going to be agreeing on. I mean, honestly, when you've been on some of those shows with Theo, I'm like, Chris is the only one talking sense some of the time. So,
and I love it when you pop in. There was one of the best times I ever had on a panel was when you popped in and told me how much smarter I was than baseball collector. That was precious to me. I kept rewinding it in that spot. So So anyway,
Well, with my video editing skills, we can make that replay on an endless loop for you if you want. So
okay. Well, I have some receipts to hand out to Theo, so I might need your help here. So, well, are you ready to get to the number 43 on this one?
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
I don't have a time that I want to try to get to. I don't want to, I don't need to stretch this out or stuff. But what I want to do is I want to be able to show a few cards, talk about people who wore this particular number. And so when you feel free, I mean, I know you will anyway, because you don't care. You somehow you can break into my computer and make me sound like Kermit the Frog. But are you ready to go to number 43?
Absolutely.
Okay, so don't pick your winner first, okay?
All right.
And we'll just tell me somebody who wore number 43 and wore it well.
Well, there wasn't a real good depth of quality, honestly, with this number, but I chose one of a guy who just had an interesting story that people might not know about. And that is none other than Dave Dravecky. He is a one-time All-Star in 1983 when he was with the Padres. But he was on a trajectory as a starting pitcher, probably for the Hall of Very Good, that was cut short. And that was cut short in one of the most gruesome ways. In 1988, he was diagnosed as having a cancerous tumor in his throwing arm, which was his left arm. His season was ended after, I think, only a couple starts in 88. And he went in for surgery to have that removed. They ended up having to remove part of his deltoid muscle in the process as well. And doctors told him that he might never pitch. He probably should have stayed out for at least 2 years, but he rushed his comeback to the point where 10 months later, he was pitching again in August of 1989. And his first start back against the Cincinnati Reds in August, he did throw 8 innings and was a winner in a 4-3 win for the Giants. His very next start, it was the 6th inning. I was actually, I grew up in the Bay Area. My dad was a Giants fan, so we would watch a lot of games on television. We were watching this game live against the Expos, and in that 6th inning, he threw a pitch, and it was like there was a bang that you could even hear on camera as it happened. And his arm just like flopped limply to his side. And it was gruesome, on the order of like Joe Theismann with Lawrence Taylor, gruesome the way his arm looked. And oh my, it was just his bone exploded in his arm. And yeah, it was nasty. And that was the last pitch he ever threw.
I cringe when you said his name, and I remember watching highlights on ESPN and Keith Olbermann saying, "You might want to look away," and I just remember saying to myself, "Why do they have to show that?" And I mean, you could tell he was in so much pain, and taking him off the field as he was, it had to be the most painful thing in the world. And he ended up losing an arm out of it.
Yeah,
correct?
His cancer returned in that arm like a couple years later, and they had to amputate it. So,
wow,
yeah.
Wow, that's a good one to bring up, wearing number 43. before I mention a baseball player, I want to give a shout out to Richard Petty, right? Didn't Richard Petty, wasn't his car number 43?
Yes, he
And,
was.
and, he was called the king. So that had to be like one of the best, right?
Oh yeah, my kids
but-
know the King from Cars movie. They did a tribute to him, basically having that character.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Now I'm going to mention, and I'm not going to show a card of his because I searched to try to find one, and I'm going to get one just because we're telling this story. But there was a great player in the mid 60s. He played for 16 years for the Braves, and for the Braves and some other other teams. He only played like 7 years for the Braves because he did wear. I'm going to say this up front. He did wear a lot of different numbers because he played on a lot of different teams. But the old cronies around here will know him. And if in that fancy room of yours, I hope you can get his baseball stats up. But it's none other than the outfielder Rico Carty, who in 1970 had an incredible year, but he finished like 10th in the MVP voting, and I can't tell you why. Because Johnny Bench won the MVP, and there's I think we mentioned Bob Gibson, and I think he had a great year in 70 as well. But Rico Carty had a great year, and I've heard Orlando talk about him. He was a good baseball player, and he was a respected baseball player. He became a very good pinch hitter late in his career, and I think he was on the team for a big clubhouse piece. But I want to give a shout out to a guy that wore number 43, and that's Rico Carty.
He did have a great year. I'm looking at it now. He had a 366 batting average.
That led the league, didn't it?
Yes, and as well as 454 on base percentage because he walked an additionally 77 times there. He still hit 25 home runs to go with that. So how was he 10th in voting? I don't know. But like I say, Johnny Bench was ahead of him. I know Bob Gibson was. There's a couple people that had some good years in there, but I think he got cheated. I think he had a really high WAR. Yeah, he was behind Johnny Bench, Billy Williams, Tony Perez, Bob Gibson, Wes Parker, Dave Giusti, who looks like a relief pitcher.
Oh, he was tough for the Pirates. You ought to hear
Rose, Jim Hickman, Willie McCovey. And looking at the stats, he was jobbed to be that low.
Yeah, Billy Williams had a strong argument to win it that year as well.
Yeah, I could see them voting for maybe the top 4 guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
It could go either way because the top 3 all had 40 home runs to go with their 300 averages. So,
well, when he was in the league, he was a well-respected player. And I remember having his baseball card and looking at the stats being so little on that card because he got traded a lot. So it had different lines through it. It looked like when you looked on the back of his card, it looked like he played for 30 years, but anyway, I wanted to give a mention to Rico Carty. And there's probably some other 43 numbers that we're not mentioning, but do you have somebody else you want to mention?
I did not have anyone else of significance for me.
All right. Well, mention who you think wore number 43 the best.
I think there is absolutely zero doubt. There's only one Hall of Famer, and I'm going to start out with his 1984 Topps card when he was with the Boston Red Sox, Dennis Eckersley. He was on the trajectory at this point of being a Hall of Very Good starting pitcher. And then continuing on, it just so happens that his 1988 Topps card was on the same 9-pocket sheet as the Dave Dravecky that I pulled. So, and then my final copy is the one that I have for my Hall of Fame player run on the wall. I pulled a Desert Shield card of him for 1991 tops. So I can get that variety of, the unique set that they produced in 91 represented. So
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, his dominance those years in Oakland is just like pinnacle as far as at least peak for a relief pitcher. I mean, obviously the Yankee guy had the longest extended prime, but just those few peak years of Eckersley, I don't think anybody matches the height he reached. I mean, that one season with like 51 saves and only 2 blown saves and a 0.53 ERA even. I mean,
Right.
he was unhittable.
Right. Well, I'm going to get controversial, right? Somebody's going to throw something at the screen and tell me how dumb I am here in a second. But hear these words. Hear these words to me. Well, first, let me ease up to this. He was not just a fairly good starting pitcher. He was an all-star starting pitcher. And I believe he made the all-star team with the Indians, which, holy cow, back in the day, if you can make an all-star team with the Indians, you were something special. And I believe moving him to the bullpen, made his career longer and made him a Hall of Famer. He's a relief pitcher, but I think he has 2,000 strikeouts. Yes, most of those were as a starter. But,
Yeah.
He was John Smoltz before John Smoltz, right? And I'm here to tell you, this is what I'm going to tell you, and people can write this in the comments. I believe he was the greatest reliever of all time, even to this day. Now, the greatest closer by far, Mariano Rivera, without a doubt. I would like to know how many times Mariano Rivera had a 3-inning save or had a 2-inning save. I mean, he was incredible. He's one of the greatest players of all time, Rivera, I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just saying, I believe as far as, a reliever, Eckersley was as good as anyone. Now, he did have some, great highlight reel with Kirk Gibson hitting a home run off of him.
Yeah, I was going to say that he has one of the most unfortunate highlights.
I mean, I'm not trying to get religious here, but it was like I was in the stadium watching David and Goliath. And I'm not trying to call Kirk Gibson a David like he little tiny dude or something, but he was going to fight with a bad leg and that he couldn't put weight on a foot. And he hits a home run off of the greatest reliever in the ball game at the biggest time. And he got one at bat that World Series. Gibson did. He made the best of it. And he just showed his team that, hey, we can do this. This isn't undoable. And he just was, but Eckersley, I've never been a huge fan. I think he has one of those haircuts that's not going to age well. I think I'm going to go see him at the Hall of Fame ceremony sometime, and he's going to have dark black hair that I don't know, just not going to age well on him. But I'm going to show a couple cards of his. This 1978 with the Indians.
Yep.
1977, and I really like this card. I love that jacket that he has on. And then I'm going to show
bag warm-up jackets.
Yeah, and he's not the only Hall of Famer that has a few of those kind of cards. And this is another trash bag jacket, and this is his rookie card. That's 76, Dennis Eckersley. So that wasn't so controversial. By me saying that he's the greatest reliever of all time, somebody's going to just hear that and not hear what I said in there. But again, he was great. He's a Hall of Famer. He's got 2,000 strikeouts. He was a starting pitcher, and he was a great reliever on some really special teams. So not very controversial. I think you did pretty good for your first time.
Well, thank you. But I mean, to me, saying he had the greatest peak is not that controversial. I actually think I agree. I mean, those 2 or 3 super duper dominant seasons, no one else has achieved that level. So,
Agreed.
yeah. I mean, he was just unhittable. The fact that Gibson hit that home run is shocking. It's because of, you know, who he hit it off of and the level he had achieved at that point. So
Exactly. A lot like Louis Gonzalez hitting a base hit off of Rivera in a World Series to win a game too. It was shocking. It was like, what just happened? And
I mean, at least Gibson was a star player too. It's just he, you know, needed a cane probably to get around at that point with his knees screwed up. So
yeah. All right. So have you finished saying everything you had to say? Have you cut me down as far as did you have anything left after you're beginning to say anything negative?
I'm sure I'll kick myself later about all the things I could have said, but I think I'm good for now. So
okay. Well, for those of you, I know every one of you that's watching this is subscribed to John's channel. It's John 3D 80s Kid, and it took me about 3 years to really know how to say
shocked you said it right on the first try.
Been practicing. And so he's going to do this with me, and 1, until we get mad at each other, or 2, until we finish up. And I hope you guys enjoy it this way, because I think I am going to enjoy this more. And I hope you guys, look forward to next week. Now, next week, we're going to try to do it every week. You okay with that, John?
That'll work for me.
Okay. We're going to try to do it every week, and we're going to go next week. It's going to be number 42. And
I believe so.
And
that comes next. I did learn counting skills.
There you go. So 42 is going to be next. And are we going to have some surprises? Maybe so. So John,
you want me to help you close this thing out?
Yeah. Why don't you help me close this out?
All right. Remember, folks, it's just a hobby. Collect what you like. Did I do all right?
Better than the original. Thank you.
All right.